Canada is home to some of the largest mineral deposits on Earth, and this has spawned everything from gold rushes to modern-day mining giants. In today's video, we're going to be talking about one of these giant modern-day mining companies, a company called Agnico Eagle Mines, and how they might become a literal gold mine for investors in the not-so-distant future. Welcome back to Gold and Larch Investing. My name is Liam, and on this channel, we love to talk about investing in Canada. Today's story is about a company that has been around for a long time and, most importantly, is really profitable with a really strong base and has some amazing growth opportunities that I don't know if the market is priced in. So in today's video, I'm going to tell you the story of Agnico Eagle Mines, and then I'm going to tell you what I think might be coming in the future for them and why I think that might make it a worthwhile investment for an investor like myself. Let's start off with their story. These guys were founded all the way back in 1953. A group of different miners all came together and they formed a company that would eventually become renamed to Agnico. A little while after they were all combined, all renamed to Agnico, they merged with a company called Eagle Mines. And this became the modern day company. And they had a couple really big projects, but the one that you should think about if you're thinking about this company from sort of a surface level approach is the LaRonde mine, which is up in that sort of region of northwestern Quebec and northeastern Ontario that is just famous for all of these mineral deposits that all of these different companies are really trying to get at. LaRonde is the crown jewel, in my opinion, of the Canadian mining sector right now. It's been absolutely amazing for these guys. And yeah, it's just been a fantastic project. And it sort of cements them as, I would say, top dog in this space, particularly in that region that has amazing potential for more mineral excavation, for more mining, even for just like more testing, more projects to sort of start eating up some of these junior miners that are looking at, oh, like, hey, there's a potential here. Talk about that a little bit more later. There's a couple other things I have on my notes in front of me here. They spurred on an era of acquisitions kind of into the 90s. Where they bought the Goldex mine, the Lapa gold deposits, and they expanded their projects that they got in Finland and in Mexico. And so by the end of the, or not the end, by the start of the 2010s, really, they were just this like massive profitable mining conglomerate across not only Canada, but into sort of the international space. And again, like I said, sort of the way I see this is they had their base and they had this flagship project, right, in LaRonde that allowed them to take risks. And now a lot of those risks are paying off, which I think puts them in a pretty prime position to take more in the future when they arise. A couple other things I've had on the notes here in front of me. I got a couple of highlights from the earnings call. I'll toss these on the screen as well. They're looking at 863,445 gold ounces produced in Q3 2024. They have a production cost per ounce of $908 and an all-in sustaining cost per ounce of $1,286. So they spend $908 to actually get it out of the ground, but combining that with all the other like selling general administrative sort of costs, they're up to $1,286. The price of gold, even if I'm just sort of giving a round number here, is $2,500. So there's a huge margin there between what they're able to produce gold at, what they're able to sell it at. Now, obviously, that's the reason why people want to mine for gold. That's why it's worthwhile. But these guys seem to be doing a really good job. They seem to be really quite efficient. They have adjusted net income of $1.14 per share. Again, pretty great. A revenue increase in the range of 30% year over year and a net income up to $567 million, which the comp last year is $179 million. So just like mind-blowing increases, a net income increase. I was going to say earnings, I was going to say revenue, but just a mind-blowing amount of net income, which is really an important factor when we're going to look at like, oh, how are they cash flowing and how are they setting themselves up in a position to expand more in the future? Free cash flow growth, again, huge, massive growth, as I'm sure you can think of from that net income number. They're talking $620 million compared to $80 million same quarter last year. So really impressive numbers. They sent the stock up dramatically, obviously. And so it's not unfair to think, well, maybe I missed the boat on this one. So, you know, they've already expanded. They've got all these flagships. They've made all these acquisitions, and now they're just sitting here literally raking in money from gold. And yes, right now is a great time to be a gold mining company because the price of gold has gone up so much. But I think there's another story that is sort of under all of this, and it's the story of expansion. I don't think it's unfair to say that 2025 and onwards is going to be a whole different world for the Canadian resource sector. Which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, talking about Canadian investing, because I think there's going to be some amazing opportunities in the not so distant future. Now, I could obviously be wrong, and I could be sort of, you know, playing my cards too early, and we could be a couple years away from a boom in Canadian resources. But it looks like we're in a position as a country, at least, where a lot of these companies are going to be given a little bit more lateral flexibility. And think about it. If you're Agnico here and you are in a position where you're literally sitting on some amazing gold mines, you are making more money than ever before. The commodity price that sort of dictates your whole business has gone through the roof. And it's uncertain if it's going to come back down. We've had this massive inflation scare recently. A lot of people are disillusioned with the idea of holding all of their value, all of their money, all of their assets in any dollar, be it US dollar, Canadian dollar, British pound, euro, right? A lot of people are disillusioned with the floating rates of these currencies, right? And a lot of people look like they've gone to gold as a hedge against inflation. Some people have gone to crypto. Super cool, obviously, if we can get cryptocurrency that is stable forever. But right now, people are buying crypto as a speculative investment. And so instead, a lot of people have used gold, the old classic, as their like defensive secure base asset. And I think that if the gold price stays pretty high, it's going to allow these guys to take their mining expertise and look at what else they can do. Now, mining is never as simple as I'm going to make it sound right here, but as a massive corporation like this, they're in a position where there's all these other projects that these junior miners or these little companies in Canada have sort of explored and said, hey, we can prove there's a cool mineral deposit here. The problem over the last couple of years, though, has been not a lot of investment in it. For many of these minerals, right, even things like copper, even up to things like nickel that might be really, really important for the energy transition, there hasn't been a lot of investment in Canada for that because there's other places that produce it cheaper. And second, the government hasn't been really into this. The government doesn't love the idea of digging up a huge chunk of Canada anywhere and building this mine that pollutes, that maybe displaces people, that might, you know, impact drinking water. It's just politically not been something this government likes. But it doesn't look like this government's going to last forever. And it does look like we're going to be in a position where North America or the global West wants to be producing these materials, these minerals, and is going to be willing to pay a premium for stuff produced in Canada versus stuff produced in places that maybe they can't depend on. I don't want to go too deep into that, but think about the position of Agnico here, where they're looking, they have all this money flowing in. If the price of gold stays even in the range that it's in now, they're going to have amazing, amazing returns for the next years, decades, who knows? For as long as they can keep pulling gold out of these massive mines. And it gives them the chance to expand into these small places, right? It gives them the opportunity to be the one investing, purchasing these places, you know, these explored deposits and deciding, hey, we're going to mine it ourselves. Or, you know, as others that are struggling, you know, are looking at these commodities as maybe depreciating in value or like not non-accretive. So they've put more money into these mines and other places than they're going to get out. Well, maybe these guys can step in, purchase that whole project that's already been started for them, use their massive size and expertise, particularly in this region that we talked about in northwestern Quebec, by La Ronde, where they already have massive operations, be really efficient with it, and turn themselves into a similar story to what we see over in the oil and gas sector, where there's a couple key strong companies that are just going to own everything. I don't think it's impossible or even implausible to think that La Ronde could make Agnico that company. Is that necessarily going to happen? No. But I think it's worthwhile for me as an investor looking at these amazing growth. I mean, 30+% year over year revenue growth on a mine. Massive. I don't even know what the percentage gain would be going free cash flow. You're up 560, 540, somewhere in there, $1 million year over year, right? Like that's gonna be billions of dollars in free cash flow. And yeah, sure, they can be paying amazing dividends, or they can be buying back stock, but they're gonna have money left over. They've demonstrated a willingness to invest in other projects when it suits them. And I think the environment's going to suit them pretty soon. So I think this might make it onto my list, onto my buys. It's at the very least on my buy watch list. And they are rising fast. I will say that. And we all know that buying a commodity tied company, a company whose future and whose profits are entirely tied to the price of a commodity, is risky. This is not money that I would otherwise have put into a bank or otherwise put into a bond or something safe, right? This is not something, the same money that I'm going to put into the S&P 500 as my base. But with that extra money in the portfolio that you're willing to take risks on, this is a risk I'm willing to take. And I think this company could be really cool for me in the next 5-10 years. But that's about all I have. That's the story of these guys, where they sort of started, how they expanded, their era of acquisition there, and their crown jewel gold mine that I think is going to put them in position to expand way more in the next 5-10 years. Anyways, let me know what you think. I'm going to drop a pinned comment down below this video. Just respond to that. Tell me, do you think that maybe I'm off on this one? Do you think that these guys are maybe not quite as great as it looks like from my sort of surface level opinion? Should I dive more into this company? Would you be interested in seeing where the opportunities are they could invest in? Do you want me to talk a little bit about those junior miners? Would you be interested in hearing the stories of some of these crazy speculative companies that just seem to keep popping up all over the country? I'm personally very interested. It's an industry that I'm going to look at a little bit more in 2025, and I'd love to hear your feedback. And if you made it this far in the video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. It means a lot, doesn't cost anything. With that being said, I hope I'll see you in the next one.